increase in the number of clinics offering commercial surrogacy services in India over the past decade, and with it, calls for the industry to be regulated have also grown. The new Assisted Reproductive Technologies Regulation Bill covers India's fertility services as a whole, including IVF, prenatal determination and surrogacy, which will see the most significant changes. If approved, it will mean both parties will have to sign legally binding surrogacy agreements, and women who want to act as a surrogate will also have to be Indian citizens and between the ages of 21 and 35. Dr. Gautam Alabadia was a member of the drafting committee for the bill.
Surrogacy will be easiest to do in India. There will be absolutely, once it becomes a law, there will be absolutely no legal tangles. A couple can take their baby away with a birth certificate that will carry the genetic parent's name. So all that this rules, these guidelines, once they become a law, mean that everything will become very easy.
But there will be other restrictions. No surrogate will be able to undergo an embryo transfer for the same couple more than 3 times. Married surrogates will need the consent of their husbands, and none will be able to give birth more than 5 times, whether it's their own children or as a surrogate. However, Dr. Alabadia, who's also the medical director at the Centre for Human Reproduction in Mumbai, says the number of surrogate births is likely to rise.
You could anticipate a 10% or a 15% rise this year. So I would assume in 2011 you will have about 500 live births.
Andrea Whitaker is an associate professor in medical anthropology at the University of Queensland in Australia, who has researched reproductive tourism in Asia. Professor Whitaker says India is the only country in the Asia region where commercial surrogacy is allowed.
But there are also brokerage companies which operate across Asia, which provide surrogates from other countries who travel to countries to provide surrogacy services. That, of course, is a highly unregulated market, and it's very unclear how many people are involved in that. But we know from some legal cases that have cropped up that women from the Philippines have been travelling as surrogates. There are also anecdotal reports of women from Vietnam travelling to Thailand to act as surrogates for couples.
The new law in India, however, will make it illegal for women to travel out of the country to act as surrogates. Surrogacy will be available to an individual or a couple, but under Indian law, a couple means 2 people living together and having a sexual relationship that is legal in the country. Professor Whitaker says this means the new law could close off a large part of the market.
At the moment, there is a part of the market which is providing surrogacy services for gay couples, and it's clear that under this regulation that will be closed. So people who cannot obtain commercial surrogacy services elsewhere because they are in a gay relationship will have great difficulty obtaining those services in India, whereas at the moment that's a very large part of the market for surrogacy in India.
Either way, Dr. Alabadia says the future of India's commercial surrogacy industry looks good.
It's very difficult to say, but I have read World Bank reports that say it will be a $2.5 billion industry by 2020.
This bill will also encourage more clinics offering surrogacy services to be registered, allowing the government to more carefully monitor the industry.